You're listening to Why We Do What We Do. Welcome to Why We Do What We Do, a mini. This is a special format we are trying out. I'm your host, Abraham.
And I'm your host, Shane.
I said my name after I introduced what we're doing. So anyway, we're going to do these short, sort of quick content deliveries of topics that we felt like we could sort of hash out in just 15 minutes rather than spend, an hour talking about something. And so we should just jump right into it. Today, we are talking about clapping.
Yes, clapping. So it's a weird thing when you think about it, right?
Right. This is interesting tradition where we slap parts of our body together, either out of obligation, appreciation, ceremony, or some other symbolic reason. And why do we do this?
Yeah, I mean, are we just constantly high-fiving ourselves? Because that's what it feels like. That's the question I have. But the first thing to understand is the conditions under which we clap. That is, in a form of tribute. Typically, clapping is used as a form of tribute or celebration for something that is occurring.
Yeah, so these high authority figures required tributes from conquered peoples and territories, usually in the form of food or goods. But a tribute in general is a form of showing respect, deference, gratitude, or recognition. And where it was historically used to symbolically represent acknowledgement to an authority figure, it has also been used to show respect in a similar manner. So what was taken by force is now given voluntarily. So difficult which to say occurred first, or if the reasons were sort of always mixed and occurred together. But that's sort of the reasons that this sort of tribute-like symbolic gesture began and evolved.
Right. So actually, clackers were people hired just to react to presentations. I love that. They were plants, right?
Yeah.
And they were paid to laugh, cry, shout, or applaud as instructed. And so they were used in theaters to influence the reaction of the crowd, to influence judges in ancient Greece to choose a particular performance. And clackers were hired to influence politics and in courts of law to sway judge and jury. So it's nice to know that, some things never change.
Yeah, right. The sort of the political theater of let's try to undermine the process and law and representation by the people who have the most amount of resources can hire other people to make those people look good, right?
I wonder to what degree it started as something nefarious or it evolved into that, right? I wonder if first it was we want to make sure that the performers feel good, so we're going to go ahead and set this up. But then it turned into, we want to make sure that we sway the vote, so.
Yeah. So the Romans applauded with clapping for speeches and for dramatic performances whenever they enjoyed them. So it was a sign of sort of respect for those and recognition and their appreciation for that performance.
Now, of course, in modern times, clapping is used ceremoniously in many forms of recognition. And further, because of the consistent representation of clapping, a lack of clapping is also a statement. That's right. There's nothing worse than doing a presentation or speaking or and then there's just no reaction. That is a horrible feeling.
Yeah, the invention of clapping meant that silence became an opinion,
yes.
A message.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. So clapping or applauding is one of the most widely recognized forms of communication. Not necessarily the most, but it's up there, around the entire world and is represented in every single culture in one way or another.
Now, of course, at some point in certain civilizations, women were taught to gently tap one palm against a stationary second palm, as the aggressive movement of both hands was, quote, unladylike. And it sounds like that's the birth of the golf clap.
Yeah, basically. Yeah, that's what that was. So sexism made its way all the way to clapping somehow.
Wild.
I know. So we've already sort of described sort of how this has evolved and what it looks like in different places around the world. We're going to take a quick advertisement break because, we can and we'll pay the bills and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And we'll be right back to talk about why this actually happens. Okay. So, yes, we slap fleshy parts of our body together to make a loud sound in these various circumstances. But why, though?
Yeah. So, as we said before, it's a form of tribute. It's a form of recognition. It's a form of, hey, you have done a thing that I enjoy, so I'm going to go ahead and recognize you for that. But why clapping specifically? Simply because it is one of the loudest, easiest ways to make noise with our bodies. If we were giant crickets, we would certainly be rubbing our leathery wings together to make a sonorous, chirping sound instead. Also, I don't like the idea of us being giant crickets. That feels gross.
It does feel a little unnerving. But yeah, no, this is actually, because I was wondering this is part of the reason that I chose this topic, is thinking about why this is such a weird tradition, like that somebody says or does something and then we slap parts of our body together. And I was thinking about it and I'm like, actually, it does kind of make sense that the loudest sounds that we can make with the least amount of effort is to hit parts of our body together. And one of the parts of our body best suited to that is our hands. Mm-hmm. So we make a nice, loud, percussive staccato sound that we can easily repeat with low effort, and it communicates a message loudly and broadly that a lot of people can do repeatedly also, so it can happen very fast. So in fact, if you think about it, the other loudest sounds that we can make are usually with our voices. Mm-hmm. And to that effect, whistling, shouting bravo, and what was once hear him, which has now evolved to hear, to particularly get the attention of someone who wasn't listening, or all these other ways of making noise as a tribute, to show respect, etc. But obviously the sort of yelling, shouting, and straining, which people would do, but it's more effortful. You can only do it for so long. It's not going to be as a nice staccato short sound most of the time. Yeah,
I also, anytime I hear somebody or see something in a movie or something where it says, hear, or hear him, I always think of Robin Hood Men in Tights, where he goes, lend me your ears, and everybody throws their ears at him, which is the dumbest gag in the world, but it's hilarious. It makes me laugh every single time.
For sure. Well, we've been on a sort of a punny kick of jokes this morning in our episode recording.
Yeah, it's been fun. Now, in places where it works to do so, one might also stomp their feet to make the noise. And so, like, depending on kind of maybe the flooring or whatever it might look like, stomping your feet might produce a large sound.
Yeah.
But clapping remains one of the easiest and most convenient ways to make a ton of noise. And noise is a tribute to someone for something.
Yeah.
One thing I think of is Queen really got this right.
Yeah.
With We Will Rock You. Stomp, stomp, clap, stomp, stomp, clap. It really works. It's very effective.
Yeah. And
also, if you're not familiar, the deaf community has an applause as well, and they don't clap because they have a sign for applause, and it's like it looks like jazz hands. So like they'll do that. They'll shake their hands like that, and it's kind of a cool tribute when sound is not necessarily as important in that community.
I love that you included that. Yeah, absolutely. Because you get a similar effect of like a visual representation of showing a sort of tribute. That's a novel way of displaying it. And again, it's relatively low effort. And just as you said, sort of hands out to the side, sort of a back and forth sort of wiggle, if you will.
Yeah.
So to get the jazz hands effect.
Yeah, I love it. There's also, of course, people will do snaps to show, you can imagine or make the sound yourself if you want to. And those, I think, I didn't look this up, but I think are commonly used in sort of quieter settings where you're not trying to make a ton of noise, but you want to make a sort of similar effect. Yeah, if you're West Side Story and you're like sort of doing lunges toward another group of people doing snaps. That's a fight signal.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
That's conflict. That's not tribute.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right. So anyway, snap's another version of slapping skin together to make some sounds. Yeah. So if slapping skin has bothered you tremendously and the fact that I just keep repeating that term over and over again, then that's okay, because I think we're at a point to go ahead and wrap up this topic. Do you have anything else to add to clapping?
I actually don't. So, we live in a world in an audio format where we don't get to hear your clapping. So if you can leave us a review as a form of clapping, or if you just leave us a review and say clap, 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 that would be great for us too. So we're totally down for that.
Love that. Yes, you can join us on Patreon, like and subscribe, tell a friend. Email us to tell us more about why you clap at info@wwdpodcast.com. You can also reach us on all the non-neo-Nazi leaning social media websites, because we don't exist on those platforms. And we'll respond to you if you reach out to us there. But I think that's all I have. Do you have anything else to say about clapping?
Nope, that's all I got today.
All right, thank you for joining us. Join us next time for another mini. This is Abraham.
And this is Shane.
We're out.
See ya.
You've been listening to Why We Do What We Do. You can learn more about this and other episodes by going to www.wwdpodcast.com. Thanks for listening, and we hope you have an awesome day.